Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, we will quickly look at how to work with headers in route handler in NextJs 15. We will cover how to access request headers and can custom response header using the app router API in on NextJs, all with clear and concise example. Perfect if you are building API and need to handle things like authentication, caching, or codes in your NextJs app. Let's jump in and let me know if you like. Let's jump in. So here in this video of today video we are talking about the headers in route handler. First of all, what is HTTP headers in route? So here HTTP headers represent the metadata association with an API request and response. Actually, when you send a API request to the server, there are some associated information which we call the metadata in response to that. And this metadata consists of two categories. One was request header and second is response header. So first of all, we talk about the request header. In the request header, they are sent by the client to the browser, such as a web browser, to the server. So this information can be sent from the client to the server. They contain essential information about the request, which has the server understand and process it correctly. The essential information consists of many parts, such as, for example, user agent, which identify the browser and operating system to the server. Then we see the asset, which indicate the content type like text, video, or image format that a client can process. Third is authorization, header used by the client to authenticate itself to the server. So these three information are the essential information which is sent to the server from the client by the client system, such as a web browser. Now let's talk about response header. So here you can see that what is response header. As the name suggests, that the response header is belong to the when you sending information to the response or to the client from the server. So in the response header, they are sent back from the server to the client. They provide information about the server and the data being sent in the response. Actually, the response header consists of the information which is sent by the server to the client system or to the client browser, and it also provides some essential information. One is the content type, or it consists of the header which indicate the type, the media type of the response. It tells the client what the data of type of the return content is, for the text XML, for HTML document, application JSON, for JSON data, etc. So response header consists of content type information which provide the information about the data which is sent by the server to the client. The type of data, whether it is a simple text or HTML or a document or an application or JSON, or the type of data which is sent to the from the server to the client. So let's see in action how these both the things work in the both the things such as request header and the response header work in NextJs 15. Let's move on to the Visual Studio to see in action in NextJs 15. That we have reached out to the Visual Studio code, and in this we are talking about the request header, how to use the request header and request and response header in NextJs 15. First of all, we talk about the request header. So in this we go on our file manager, on our route handler demo, and in this we have a profile, and in card profile we have a route dot, in card API we have route.tsx file, and in card that we have a get method. So when you pass this request to the postman, here you can see that when you pass a request to this, you will find, like when we call a localhost, let's say profile API, and we will make a send request to it. Here you can see the response profile API data. Okay. Now now let's talk about how we can implement the request header. For in order to implement the request header, first of all we need to upgrade our get method inside the in the route.txt file inside the API. So that we need a request object of type. We are not using a simple request, we are using the next request, because it next request, because it gives you the access of the header information. So you can see that we have imported next request from next server, and we enter this. You can see that. So we can access the new header with the help of new keyword, and we type up headers. Inside we can type headers, and inside it we can pass a request it after request we use dot, and you can see number of things over here. So we can find the headers. So here you can get the access of header information, and in this we can assign this particular information to a variable. Like for example, we can give a variable name request header. We can give a variable name request header, and assign we are getting from the request object. After that, we can give a control dot log to it, and insert request header. Insert request header, we has a get method, and we need to fetch a parameter to that to get information. So let's add a parameter to it. And for that, so we go to the post map, and in fact that we already know that when we hit the localhost 3000 profile API inside the header, which is the header information over here. So we click on hidden, and if you may move the move information here, you can see the number of essential information which we already talked about in this video before, where you can see the host, user agent, and accept. And apart from this, I also add some, you can see the action also. And apart from this, we can also add a new new parameter with the name of authorization. And authorization, we have a bearer token. Bearer token. We can type bearer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now we are sending a parameter with the name authorization. Okay. So now this parameter would be accessed when the get request was called in the route.tsx. So we can as you all know, we can copy this parameter so that we can easily display this bearer 1, 2, 3, 4 pin in the console in the route.tsx file. We can pass this parameter over here. And as you all know that console.log request.header get authorization, and the value of this is bearer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will be shown in the console. So let's test it. So let's save my information over here. I can save my file so that it can be updated. And now again we can make a get request to this profile API data, and we are now sending the another parameter from our card, that is authorization, having a value of bearer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now we make our get request to it. We click on send. So here, if you see in the control, that move control, here you can see the bearer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 information over here. So this is one method to access the header information, but NextJS also provide the another information to get the header details. So let's talk about that also. So just we need to make this line comment, just comment to this line, and header and trading method was that we use the header for it. So how we use the header in the JSX. So in the Next.js, it provides the header method. So for this we can provide we can give a name to a variable like header list, and in we can give header list is equal to awake. It is a async function, and we provide headers. So here you can see the header next header. So you need to import this on your side, and it is a function. It is a function method, and after that we can control dot log to it. When we can access that in header list, which we declared a variable, and we change with the method get, and we can copy the authorization, because authorization is the parameter which are having that information to access in the control. Now that information is accessed here, and one more thing, I also need to change the information so that you can able to see that this information is an updated one. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So now I am changing authorization 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Before I am changing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to it. And now we already have second method to access the header information with the help of get request. So here you can see we have used the Next.js header method. It is a type of, here you can see that this function allow you to read the incoming request header in server, component, server action, route handler, and middleware. So here, through headers, await headers, it provide a header list, and in that header list we can use a .get parameter, enter the parameter name which we are sending in the get request from the postman. So here we are sending authorization, so we are got for the authorization. So now let's send another request to it with the get method. So now we click on third method. So here you can say bearer 54321. So this is how you can access. There are two methods which we are talked about, that how you can access the header information on your site in the NextJS application. Now let's talk about how to set the response headers in the NextJS so that you can send the data type to the client. So what type of data you are sending to the client? Let's talk about that. I hope you are easily understanding how these two methods can be helpful in getting the header information which you are sending from the server side, from the client side. So we have already talked about two methods to how we can access the request headers in the Next.js application. Now let's talk about how we can set the response header in our Next.js application. Here you can see we are already accessing the header list authorization code. Now you can see that when we are making a GET request, we can simply return a response of profile API data. So when you making GET request, and if you see the preview of it, so here you can see a simple API data. And now if you want to send a particular type of data, suppose I want to send h1 tag to it. I want to add an h1 tag to my response and sending to it. Now how we can and this type of data is an HTML tag. So how we need to update so that we can update our client that our data is an HTML tag. So for this we need to set our response header to it. So in order to so before this, suppose I'm just without setting my header, just we need to call this and we see what we see on the browser. You can type the profile / API. So here you can see the h1 tag profile API data over here, and h1 tag which is not in a good format. So it is because if you see if you inspect this particular page, so in the network type, you need to reload that again, network, and if you click on API and header information, here you can see the content type is text or plain. So I want that h1 tag should not become here like that. It should be that my data should be in the h1 tag style. So what I need to do is I need to change the content type of my response object. So in order to make our text style to add a style to our h1 tag, I need to send the content type along with this. So how I need to send that? I need to make a comma. I need to pass a parameter with a single quotes, a content type. I need to not content type. It is header. It is header information. The headers, it is of object type. Inside this, we have number of things like content type. Content type, and inside content type we are passing text / HTML. Why we are taking text / HTML? Because I am sending an h1 tag which is come in HTML. So here you can see now your response is come in the HTML form. Here now I close this and save this particular file update, and now we are again back to the browser and see now that our response will be changed. Now again, and your content type also changed from text plain to text slam. Now I reload this particular API page. So here you can see that your profile API data has been changed, and when you click on the API, now you click on the API, here you can see the content type should be is text or HTML, and now your h1 tag is not coming like that as it is coming before, because we are already changing the content type which is text or HTML, and it is apply, and that h1 tag is applying on my text particular text. h1 tag style is applied to my text. So this is how you can change the response header in the Next.js application. I hope you easily understand how we can access header with the help of two methods which we already talked about in this video, and also how to set the response header in Next.js application. And that is, you know that how to work with header in route handler in Next.js 15. You learned how to access request header and set your own custom response header, which is super useful for things like authentication, caching, code, and more. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comment what other Next.js topic you would like to see next. Thanks for watching. I will catch you in the next one. Thank you.